Some of you have been around people for so long, and because she your bestie for 20 years, you thinking, girl, yeah, tell it to me. But listen, telling it to you is not helping them. It's only giving them pillows of comfort until they decide that they want to work through it. Sometimes people think graduating from their trauma is walking away from their trauma. Friend. It just means that you decide to walk away. Make sure you're looking at it from a lens that you can work through it. We're not making you comfortable. And sometimes you have to be very, very vocal with the people around you so that they can get uncomfortable so that they can work through their stuff. It's okay to tell your friend, listen, friend, I love you. I can't help you with that.
225 moments where his glory shines. Yeah.
Welcome to 225 Moments with me, MNicole. Friend, I am so happy that you're here. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you're always here, welcome back, friend. I am so happy that you're here with me today. Listen, 225 Moments with me, MNicole, is a space of empowerment and encouragement. It's inspired by Joel 2:25, where God promises to restore years that the locust has eaten. On each episode on this podcast, you'll find stories of God's restoration power, transformation, where He leads us from loss to abundance. And today, we're going to dive into the very next episode. We're going to talk about, when do you graduate from your trauma? Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, well, what does graduation mean? You know, when we think of graduation, we think of the cap, the gown, the biggest accomplishment to move past, whatever we were going through to achieve that accomplishment, right? Whether it was school, whether it was a goal that you had in mind. Graduation makes you think of the ultimate, right? Like, when do you salute and go forth, right? Well, we have to look at our trauma the same way. There's times when we have trauma, and some of us, we like to ignore that the trauma happened and just, go on, avoid it or go around it. But I would tell you, it is so important for you to think about, when do you graduate from your trauma? You got to move forward from the trauma for a lot of reasons. And we're going to break that down today, okay? The very first thing I want to start with as to why it's important to move past your trauma and graduate from it is because it heightens your ears. See, I know when you listen and you think about people who share inspirational stories, child, you're thinking about everything. You're thinking about, your mindset and all these things. But I would tell you, the things that start in your mind first start with your ear, what you hear. You can close your eyes and actually not see anything, but you can always hear. Your hearing senses are always on. So it is super important that you move past your trauma to open up your ear gates so that you can hear things differently. And I'm gonna give you an example. If you run into a person, right, and this person has some issues. Let's just say this person had a bad day. They woke up on the wrong side of the bed. There was things happening in their life, and let's just say it was the bills are short, car acting up. If you put them on side of a person who actually lives intentionally, regardless of what's going on in their life, their expectation and their intentions are positive. If you put them side by side and you give the same scenario, so let's just say I walk into a room and I say good morning. My good morning would land on the ears of the person who's dealing with things that haven't graduated from their trauma differently than it would be the person who woke up intentionally. The person who woke up intentionally and is positive, they're going to say good morning. My good morning is going to land on good ground. But the issue is, when someone ear gates is still in trauma, it's going to land on trauma ground, right? So their response could be, oh, hey, how you doing? And I promise you, their day is going to go exactly how their harvest and what's in their trauma. that they're projecting that they haven't gotten over. It's going to continue to go in that direction. So I'm saying this to you because it's not just important for you to say, yes, I need to get through it. Listen, you've heard a lot of scenarios where people say to you, oh, just get over it. Don't worry about it. Just move on. But moving on and getting over it is different than graduating, friend. It is totally different because the graduation says that I took the courses, I faced the trauma, I dealt with the issues. Most of the time that people who live in trauma are not willing to deal with the issues. That instead they think this is super important. They think they're dealing with the issues by saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna stay to myself. I'm gonna be quiet, and I'm just gonna rest in my stuff." And when you rest in your stuff and you're still in trauma, you're still going to project more and more trauma. It doesn't go away because you don't want to face it. It doesn't go away because you don't want to acknowledge it. You have to deal with it and go through it. In order for you to graduate, it means I went through this. When you go to someone and you say, hey, I have a bachelor in computer science, it says that I went through these courses to get here. So when you think about graduating from your trauma, it means, friend, that you gotta go through it. You can't just avoid it. You can't say, oh, I'm never gonna talk to this person again. Wait. What were you supposed to learn from that? That allows you to go through it because you're facing it head on. So when you think about why is it so important for me to think about tackling my trauma? I don't want to talk to this person ever again. It doesn't mean you need to talk to them ever again, but it does mean that you need to tackle what that scenario was in your life, whatever it is currently in your life, and you got to find what is the lesson for me. Because here's something I would tell you. Say that you go on and you just trauma lady and you just decided I'm not dealing with that. I'm just gonna live my life. Ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing, right? You that person. What happens as you go on through life and you're carrying all these trauma bags, all this negative energy, and you encounter the same situation again? Guess what it will do? It's gonna trigger you. And the triggers remind you that you haven't dealt with it, friend. So either you're gonna deal with it now or you're going to deal with it later. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really like going back to old stuff and dealing with stuff later. No. I got way too much to do. God got way too much in front of me for me to tackle that I don't want to hold myself up. I don't want to be the detour for myself because simply I wasn't willing to tackle it. So it's so important. Number one, I want you to take away from this is that I have to tackle my trauma so I can hear differently. And why do I need to hear differently? So I can move differently. If you notice in the Bible, it talks a lot about what you believe. Everything is about what you believe. And what do you think your belief starts with? What you hear. That's right, friend. Everything you hear comes into play and it sits in you and you start to believe it. Now, the things you heard in your ear gates and then you started to believe it, it then projects out on what you see. See, if you think I'm playing, listen, let me just kind of tell you this little tip. Take your phone and put your phone right by you. Don't even mash buttons. Just put it by you. And you can have it on what do they call it? Silent. You can put it on silent. Have it by you, and start talking about Paris. Oh, I can't wait to go to Paris. Paris seems like a lot. Or just have a commercial on, and the commercial is talking about Paris, right? And you like, Now the phone is it's on idle, but you're not using it. But I promise you, when you pick up your phone and get ready to activate your phone to use it for whatever reason, or start scrolling on social media, I can almost guarantee that you're going to start seeing ads for Paris. That lets you know that the ear gates, what is being ingested in you, it doesn't stop. Even when you go to sleep at night, you still are hearing something. Your ears don't shut off because you sleep. Now your eyes can close. Remember, I told you that your ear gates are the most important. And that's just my opinion because I know that you can't cut it off. You can't cut off. You can shut your eyes and not see anything, but your ears, no, 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 friend. You're going to be listening to stuff as, why do you think music is so important? Why do you think the stuff we hear start to play and what manifests in our lives? It's because your ear gate. So I want you to change that. I want you to change that, and I want you to tackle your trauma. I want you to tackle what you hear. I want you to make sure that whatever is around you, whatever you're about to approach, you're about to go through that trauma, is supporting what you want to happen with the trauma. You're pulling something from it, but yet what I am hearing is supporting my movement. All right. And it opens up the gateway for God to continue to pour out even more because he know you can handle it. When you graduate, it means, hey, honey, I am here. I have arrived, and it's time to go to the very next level. So make sure whatever it is that you're hearing where you want to be first. And whatever it is that you have in you, if you're projecting something that's different than what you heard, you got to go and check your environment because simply what you're hearing is not supporting your path. And that typically means it's time to move. All right. So as we go forth and you start thinking about your trauma a little more, I want you to start surveying what's in your environment because you'll be surprised of the people that are obese on trauma. I'm talking about you look at them. Have you ever seen a person you hadn't seen in a long time and then when you see them, you're like, whew, what was she been eating? Your spirit, man, meaning your spirit senses should feel the same way when you encounter people in the spirit. Meaning that when you come in contact with someone, you should be able to look at them and tell whether or not if they're obese on trauma or they really thriving in their lives. See, I think sometimes we like to make excuses for people. Oh, she got this going on. That's why she put on a few pounds. Listen, that could possibly be the case. But sometimes it takes a mirror. It takes someone to be in your environment to say, friend, I think you're putting on a little bit. What about if you had people in your life to tell you when you're putting on trauma, when you're carrying something that's making you fat? The fat doesn't necessarily mean in the physical. The fat could mean in the spiritual, meaning that the things you say that you have you ever met a person that's obsessed with a situation that every time they call you, they're constantly talking about the same thing over and over. It is extra trauma every day. It's like they add a little extra sauce to what they told you yesterday. And now here's the same story, child, a whole week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks with just extra sauces. Now you keep hearing this story. And I'm gonna give you an example. I remember being friends with this lady, and she had a situation where she was caught up in whether or not her husband was doing something inappropriate with her children. Okay, real deep story, real deep. Okay, I'm gonna try to make it short. And I remember listening to her every day. I have a heart that, you tug at me. I want to support you. I want to make sure you're okay. And so she was not okay for a while. So I think you go through the phases where when stuff hits you, you're not okay. And that's okay. That means you're absolutely 100% human. So she went through this phase where she wasn't okay. Right? So she called me and she talked about the situation over and over again. Then it went to week 2. We still hearing more and more about this situation over and over again. Now listen, I was listening, but I wasn't listening. Because by the time we hit week 2, I'm listening to the same story, right? Well, at the end of week 2, I just stopped her and I said, hey, you need to talk to somebody. You need a therapist, honey. You need to be able to have a healthy conversation with your husband about these speculations because I didn't have nothing to do with that. And I couldn't tell her how to manage her marriage. But I can tell her that you need help. You got to go and tackle the bleeding. Talking to me every day about it, honey, you still bleeding. I'm just helping you put extra little bobos on your wounds. I'm helping you put extra bandages on your wounds rather. You know, I'm not the person that's getting here and I'm helping you tackle this head on because you know we get this confused. We think because folks be our friend, they're going to help us tackle the trauma. When sometimes the people you think can help you tackle it are not even equipped to tackle nothing. They don't even have the tools in their toolbox to tackle their own life. But here you go, you on the phone with them every day. Why? Because it makes you feel good. So in that moment when she was calling me every week, I had to stop. And I said, hey, you need to go talk to somebody, man. It ain't me. It ain't me. Listen, I know you want to talk to God about it, but listen, I love God. And like Erica said before, we love therapy too. You got to go talk to someone who can help you tackle this and go through it. Because talking to me, you're only patty caking the same grade that you're in. You're not graduating anywhere. Have you ever seen what people or kids when you was little, they stayed in the same grade while everybody else was advancing to the next grade and you look up and your cousin is 2 grades behind? Not because they're 2 grades behind because they're incapable. They were 2 grades behind because they did not face the work. You got to get to a place where you're willing to face the work. And listen, I understand that sometimes facing the work is not automatic. You're not going to wake up every day and say, oh, I'm going to tackle my work. There's phases to that, which means you start with the phase of, the acknowledgement. It has happened to me. Let me acknowledge that this happened in my space, right? But after you acknowledge it, friend, then you got to graduate to working on it. We can't stay in the acknowledgement phase and give you pillows and extra covers and let you sleep on the sofa until you figure out that you don't want to be in that phase anymore. No, 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 no. You have to face it. You have to work through it. Now, it wasn't until I made her uncomfortable. Now, listen, sometimes, friend, you're going to have to make some hard decisions and you're going to have to make some people uncomfortable by being direct. I said, you got to talk to somebody. You got to talk to a therapist. You got to talk to somebody that can help you work through it. It's not me. I didn't have the tools. So I think some of you have been around people for so long. And because she your bestie for 20 years or she your bestie for 30 years, you thinking, girl, yeah, tell it to me. But listen, telling it to you is not helping them. It's not helping them go through it. It's not helping them face it. It's only giving them pillows of comfort until they decide that they want to work through it. Now, here's the funny part. Sometimes people think graduating from their trauma is walking away from their trauma. Friend, that does not mean a thing. It just means that you decide to walk away, which may have been a part of you facing it, but it does not stand as the ultimate of you working on it. So I would say to you, in reference to how you look at things, make sure you're looking at it from a lens that you can work through it. We're not making you comfortable. And sometimes you have to be very, very vocal with the people around you so that they can get uncomfortable so that they can work through their stuff. It's okay to tell your friend, I can't help you with that. That's not my wheelhouse. Listen, friend, I love you. If you want me to go and support you and be in a therapy session and I can sit outside while you do your thing, I'll be more than happy to do that. But I cannot help you fix this situation. I cannot even help you tackle this situation. The moment that I said that to her, do you know, she turned around and she went to see a therapist? She did. She saw a therapist and her husband and her children began to tackle their issues. Now, God made it where I didn't have to stay around to figure out what happened after that. But I would say that my role in what I played with that connection, I did my part. The honesty and the transparency to make her uncomfortable to go and take action was all that God had me in her path to do. So you have to ask yourself, what is it in this path that I'm on that I am supposed to be transparent? Just be honest. I don't have the tools for you, sis. I'm not the answer. Pray about it and get a therapist. Get you a therapist. Healing is not about perfection. I know sometimes you hear people say, oh, you got to heal, you got to heal. And so when you think about your trauma, you're healing with your trauma. You know, we think trauma and healing, you know, it's a whole process because it is, right? And we think that at the end of that, you know, that it's going to be when you're going to walk away brand new. In your mind, you thinking, I'm going to be this new person. But listen, I would tell you, healing isn't perfection. Healing is participation. The first part of healing is for you to show up and be present. And in the midst of you being present, God will move the needle where you're stronger and stronger and stronger. You know, one thing that I love about being present and being in participation, because as you're healing and you're going on with your life, it doesn't mean that you stop what you're doing just to heal, but it does mean that you are an active participant in healing. Right? Meaning I am here, you know, when you're in class and the teacher says your name and you say here. We used to say that when we was in school. Here, I'm here. It means that you're saying to God, God, I am here and I am willing to tackle this trauma. And that means that I have to say vocally that I'm going to show up to tackle this. I'm tackling what I need to get from this situation. Now, here's something that I want you to know. On this healing journey, God will put you in situations that allows you to see where you have graduated. See. It goes like this. You'll be in a situation again, and then you start to look around and you say to yourself, wow, that used to be me. And that me, now you can look at yourself and it's not triggering. You're so in this mode of, I'm talking about, you're in an amazing mode of gratitude. You have so much gratitude, like where you're overflowed with joy. Why? Because you're looking at your old self like, wow, that used to be me. Wow, those things used to make me happy, but they don't make me happy anymore, right? I had a scenario where, and this happened recently. I was out of the country having a good time with my husband, and it was a lady that I saw. Now I've seen this lady in the city several times because we used to be friends, right? But I feel as if it wasn't in a scenario where things was just terrible. This is just my view. You know, you ask somebody else, they may have a different opinion. But here I am out of the country. I've seen this lady in Atlanta before at events, and nothing, you know, was nothing. I mean, nothing bad. I don't have anything bad to say. You just go on with life, right? And I'm out of the country, and the lady comes over to me. I mean, I thought it was interesting because I think you've seen me several times in Atlanta, right? Because remember, this is somebody I used to be friends with, right? So she walks over and she goes, and I was actually shocked that she walked over and she goes, oh, this is what we doing. If we doing this, we doing that. And I looked at her and said, hey, bring it in. Bring it in. How you doing? I hugged her neck and said, how you doing? How you been? But in that moment, even if she didn't say a word, I felt the energy of trauma. The trauma, because this was someone I used to go out to nightclubs with and have a good time. And it reminded me of who I used to be. And I said, wow, like, you know, if you haven't seen me in her eyes, we're out of the country and you want to say something, great, I'm all for it. But for you to approach me, and the approach is in love, because remember, God is love. If you want to know if you've gotten over your triggers, ask yourself, am I responding in love or am I responding in trauma? If you're responding in trauma, friend, you got to go back to that grade because you have not graduated. I promise you, you haven't. You got more work to do. But in that response, I gave her love. I said, bring it in, bring it in. And when I hugged her, I hugged her from a sincere place, but I can feel the energy. And it's something that you can't make up, right? But I was hoping that the energy of love that I gave her would change her trajectory about whatever she was still holding on to from the trauma from our old friendship. See, sometimes we think we got to go back and fix the people and their trauma in order for us to deem that we're healed. You know, when you go through a battle and you're fighting cancer, there's a certain level that when you accomplish all of the sessions, you go and you ring the bell. We believe ringing the bell from trauma is going back to fix the other person to make sure they don't have any ill intent against us. Listen, that's not your job. It is not your job to deem you going back to something that you have already went through to ring a bell to say, you know what? It's done. No, 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 no. It is their responsibility to tackle the trauma, to go through it, because their personal journey means they have to pull different tools from that to make them a better person on this journey. And that's personal, personal. But I'm glad that I can look back and say, God, thank you. Thank you. Listen, thank you for keeping me. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the information to know that I gotta keep going. And life is bigger than who don't like you, girl. Life is so much bigger than people being mad in their trauma. As long as you have gotten over it and you have gotten what you need. See, went through it and faced it to get what I needed from that situation. Because sometimes if we don't face it, you'll find yourself with expired products in your refrigerator. Friend, you want to know why your refrigerator is smoking up your house, is stinking up your house? It's because the products in your refrigerator has expired. The friendships in your life has expired. But you just keep holding on. And as you keep holding on, the aroma that's going through your house is destroying and killing you. So you have to say to yourself, when am I going to get through the trauma? When am I going to throw out the things that no longer serves my path and be okay with that? Remember, God is love and he wants us to operate in love. And until you get to that point in your trauma where you can feel love from your pain, friend, you got to keep going back to school. You're not there yet. You're not there yet. But God is love. And that's when you know, as you move forth in your trauma, you are an active participant. You're saying, God, I am here. I am here for you to give me the tools and the things that I need to tackle this, to work through it. And it does not mean that you got to go back to old people and convince them that you have changed. It doesn't mean you got to go back to old people and make them believe that you're someone else, or make them even like you again. God didn't tell you nowhere in your purpose that your purpose was going to be a part of a liking competition. He didn't. If you want to know, if you want to ask me, friend, it means you're going to be unliked. And that's okay. That's totally okay. If you want to ask yourself, when have I graduated from my trauma? I would say to you, sis, what are you hearing? What are you listening to? I want you to stop listening to the validation of people, the things that people deem to say that you have healed, because your healing requires you to go through it. And you'll know if you've gone through it. You'll know if you're currently going through it. And listen, you will know if you are avoiding it. Because listen, our culture, we are really good at acting like it don't exist and just going on. But it's when you stop and you listen to God and you allow God's validation to give you the tools that you need to go through it. And as you tackle things with the tools and you understand where you are because you are present, your ear gates are open. You're acknowledging that the triggers If I am being triggered, I'm happy that, listen, the next time you're triggered, be happy for the trigger because the trigger is telling you something. It's telling you, friend, you got more work to do. You got more work to do, friend, and that's okay. When you get those signals and you know you have more work to do, you can tackle it. But you can't tackle what you don't acknowledge. You can't tackle what you don't feel. You can't tackle what you don't see. Okay? So the triggers are good. So you're saying to yourself, I am releasing this trigger. I'm tackling what's in front of me because I'm supposed to get something from that, right? And then you ask God to help you, send the right tools and the resources along the way as you get stronger and stronger. And then you'll know when you graduated from your trauma by looking at the fruit that you give. If your fruit is love, sis, congratulations. Here's your cap and gown. You have graduated. All right. I pray that this segment today blessed you. I pray that you ask God to give you the tools you need to tackle your trauma and to truly graduate from it, regardless of what it is, because you got to face it. You can't ignore it. You can't act like it doesn't exist. You can't even get some type of formality together in your head to make you think you graduated from it. Don't do that. Tackle it. Tackle it. Don't let people validate whether or not you tackled it. I want you to sit with yourself and I want you to tackle it. Listen, your 225 moment for this session is for you to say, God, whatever it is that I need to tackle on this journey, that you have helped, you've come in, you've given me the tools for me to tackle it. And God, restore the tools, restore my mind, restore my ear gates, God, so that I can tackle it and be the best version of myself so I can walk out your purpose here on earth. All right. That's your 225 moment. I am so excited that this blessed you. If it blessed you, be sure to share. Tag a friend. Click like, comment, and share. Share, share, share. You can find us on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Listen, wherever you listen to your podcast, you'll find us 225 moments with me, MNicole. All right. I hope this bless you. And remember, it's 225.